Welcome everyone to my review of IDW Sonic issue 63, the second part of the Misadventures arc. There is nothing wrong with the cover, it's actually designed that way on purpose, and I kinda like it. If you're new to the channel and like what you see here, please consider hitting the subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. Before we start the review, let's recap what's happening so far and spoilers from this point forward. Amy and Knuckles went on a little trek on Angel Island to return an Echidna artifact to its proper place. Kind of an anti-treasure hunt, if you will. Meanwhile, the main thread of this arc is Clutch the Possum hiring Mimic to infiltrate Restoration HQ and disrupt their operations. Taking a new form and calling himself Duo, Mimic applies for a position in the new Diamond Cutters, and he's accepted as a probationary member. From their point of view, he'll really have to prove himself when the team goes training in this issue. Oh, if they only knew what he's really capable of. Let's dive right in. What's interesting about this issue is that for the first time in the main IDW series, there is a clear divide between the two stories. All the new Diamond Cutter material is in the first story, and the second story, which focuses on Sonic and Blaze, follows it. In the past, two different plot threads would run parallel to each other, with the occasional cut back and forth between them. For example, the last issue had the Mimic plot interspersed between the Knuckles-Amy plot. If you've only seen the comic through my reviews, I tend to group the plot threads together to make it easier to summarize. The reason for the story separation here is because Ian Flynn and Evan Stanley each wrote one in this issue. Evan wrote the story with the new Diamond Cutters, which coincidentally has Silver in it. Or maybe not, considering Evan's fondness for the character. Who knows? Hi there, Editor Me here. As I was putting in the images for the credits, I took a closer look at the titles here. For one, we actually have titles in the issue. And two, Evan's story says Misadventures Part 1. That had me scratching my head because I thought the last issue was Part 1 since, you know, it pretty much set up the whole Mimic infiltration arc, and it had two characters go on a little adventure of their own. Well, that's what I get for relying on wikis for issue titles. You know what? I'm going to keep calling this issue Part 2. I don't care what they call it in the credits. To me, this whole arc is called Misadventures, and the powers that be should have clarified what the title of issue 62 was. Alright, I got that off my chest. Back to your regularly scheduled review. Ian, meanwhile, took care of the Sonic and Blaze tale. This feels reminiscent of Archie Sonic, where most of the time, there would be a main story and a short story at the end. I know this is supposed to be the summary section, but I have to address this since this is kind of a big deal. Alright, let's actually get into it. I'll be starting with the more lighthearted Sonic and Blaze section, which has its own title, Speedy Sightseeing. For context, Blaze is in Sonic's world on vacation after dealing with the last of the robot pirates on hers, and Sonic decides to take her on a, well, speedy sightseeing tour of the planet. Sonic, after leading Blaze through some tranquil locations, decides to spice things up by having the two go down a dangerous path to their next destination, Spagonia. Wait, Spagonia? That's human territory! The two make their way to the clock tower's hands, and from on high, Blaze comments on how the architecture reminds her of her world. As Sonic asks Blaze where she would like to eat, he catches her lost in thought. After seeing many wondrous things, Blaze has a better appreciation of Sonic's world, and now has this desire to protect it just as much as her own. Sonic tells her to relax. This is not a working vacation. She's earned it after saving her world. Something Knuckles brought up during his conversation with Blaze back in the 2022 annual. Blaze would like to learn more about Sonic's way of balancing both work and life, and Sonic replies in a similar manner to how he replied to Shadow in Sonic Adventure 2.
So, there's more to you than just looking like me. What are you anyway?
What you see is what you get. Just a guy that loves adventure.
This heartwarming moment is interrupted when the clock strikes 3, and the two decide to head down to grab some food for the road. And so, the story ends with them heading down the clock tower in their own unique way. The main story begins at the Restoration's machine shop, where Belle's making sure her repairs on Whisper's Wispin are holding up. If you look to the left here, you'll see the disabled Motobud where the wisps are. Makes sense that Belle would try and fix it. While Belle would love to take a closer look at the weapon by tinkering with it, Tango playfully puts the kibosh on it. Good thing because look at Whisper's reaction. The shop boss has Belle get to work on some gadgets while Tango and Whisper head off for some training. But not before literally bumping into Silver. Our psychic hedgehog from the future is looking for something to do, especially since Blaze is off with Sonic right now. Whisper suggests he train along with the new diamond cutters. Hey, Silver's all for that. The group convene at an unrestored portion of Green Hill, so they be free to let loose during their training. Mainly, the focus is on coordination and communication. For the sake of clarity, whenever Mimic is in his duo form, I will mostly refer to him as Duo. Okay? Duo sees Silver as a potential threat, so he starts being cozy to Future Boy and his abilities. Silver gladly gives a demonstration by moving some large boulders. Lanolin sees this and wants to use the boulders for something. That's when Duo kicks Silver, making him cause a landslide. This has the unfortunate side effect of collapsing the cliff behind Silver and Duo and unleashing a giant chopper. Makes sense given the location. The three girls escape the danger and witness from afar Silver and Duo's struggle with the Badnik. Well, actually, Silver's the one struggling with it. Duo, though, takes the opportunity to ditch Silver, and as a way of taunting him, he briefly reveals the Mimic Nightmare face before the chopper's jaws trap the psychic hedgehog. The other three diamond cutters arrive, and Duo says he couldn't save Silver. Oh, Duo. Silver's a game character. He'll be fine. See? He's able to get out and wreck the Badnik. Silver accuses Duo of ditching him, while Duo says he was going to call for help. Lanolin then calls out Silver for the reckless use of his powers, and expects him to do better next time, even though it really wasn't his fault. That night at the Restoration Shed entrance, Whisper appears to the pouting Silver, Batman style. Silver mentioning Duo giving off weird vibes causes Whisper to reveal that she saw Duo kicking Silver earlier in Green Hill. And when Silver brought up Duo's eyes turning black with white irises, Whisper slips on the mask and declares they're going hunting. And this is where the story ends for now. I'm going to share my thoughts on the new Diamond Cutter story first. Silver looking for his purpose in the past is an ongoing thing since his return in the 2022 annual, and he believes joining the new Diamond Cutters will give him something to do. Unfortunately, he joined around the same time a certain manipulative individual did, the Green Hill incident. Duo attempted to deal with Silver because he saw him as a threat, which is true. And when leaving him to die didn't work, he emotionally manipulates the situation in his favor, complete with crocodile tears. I do admit, this makes my blood boil. Having Lanolin place most if not all the blame on Silver while Silver accuses Duo of ditching him did not help. Okay, to defend Lanolin a bit, from her point of view, she witnessed Silver misuse his powers and almost caused a disaster for everyone involved. Now to be fair, she hasn't witnessed what Silver's really capable of firsthand in an actual combat situation. Before you cite urban warfare, she was indisposed throughout most of the arc, and only saw Silver using his powers to get the group to safety. She didn't see, for example, Silver trying to save Shadow and all. And in this issue, she didn't see Duo kicking Silver while using his powers. However, I won't excuse Lanolin for not calling Duo out on his contradictory dialogue. He said he couldn't save Silver one moment, and when Silver saved himself and called out Duo for bailing on him, Duo's like, I was going to call for help. She should have given Duo a stern talking to like Silver. I mean, wasn't the point of this exercise communication? But when you think about it, Duo/Mimic is actually fulfilling his purpose, causing chaos from inside. And I believe Evan Stanley wrote the situation this way to make us feel angry on purpose. This'll make Mimic's eventual reveal and comeuppance all the more satisfying. At least, I hope so. Besides, it's not like Silver's booted from the team. All he got was a slap on the wrist. The one person that will always have Silver's back is his guardian angel. These two have come a long way since their meeting back in issue 8. And unlike Lanolin, Whisper has seen Silver in action and has a decent idea of what he can do. Whisper was the one that invited Silver to train with them after all. Plus, seeing Duo kick Silver is why she's willing to help Silver. And when Silver mentioned Duo changing his eye color, that set off alarm bells in Whisper's head. It seems Mimic made a big mistake switching to Nightmare Face in front of Silver, and he's about to be exposed. However, something tells me this investigation is going to get bungled at first, due to one of the covers for the next issue being Silver doing the Charlie Day conspiracy board meme. Not to mention a future cover revealing Duo next to Whisper when, big future arc spoilers, Surge and Kid try to join the Restoration. Then again, covers tend to lie, so who knows what's going to happen. We'll move on to the Sonic and Blaze story, which I suspect is a much needed palate cleanser after what happened in the first one. Let's get the big revelation out of the way. For the first time in the IDW series, we have concrete proof of humans, other than Eggman, existing in the same world as Sonic's crew. And it's all thanks to Sonic and Blaze visiting Spagonia. To back this up, Sonic mentioned Joseph's as a possible place to get some food. Joseph's is a shop in Sonic Unleashed where you can buy things, and it's run by the titular character, who is a human. We don't actually see any humans in the story, but their implied presence is still a big deal, not only for the comic, but for the franchise period. A reminder, recently it's been retconned that the Sonic cast and the humans live in one world and always have lived in one world. Now that the door in this situation is opening, the following things will have to be addressed. What happened to them during the Sonic Forces War? And in the context of this comic, what were they doing during the Metal Virus saga? This will have to be addressed when the humans eventually appear. It's only a matter of time at this point. We get these nice character moments between Blaze and Sonic, with Blaze gaining a better appreciation of Sonic's world and wanting to protect it as much as her own. In a way, we already saw it happen in Fallout, the Battle for Angel Island, and recently Urban Warfare. But Sonic says to relax. She's on vacation, and not the working kind. Not that there's anything wrong with working vacations, but sometimes you just need to get away to clear your head and recharge yourself. Besides the callback to Sonic Adventure 2, some other nods to past games include them visiting what appears to be Mirage Saloon Zone from Sonic Mania, and possibly Holoska, another Sonic Unleashed location. Again, no sign of any humans. And of course, there's Sonic leading Blaze through Rooftop Run. You may have noticed in the background of the first page, the trio of ghosts from the short Night of the Werehog, released around the same time as Sonic Unleashed. That game's really getting some love in this story. The female, Lol, appears to be pining for Sonic as he zips by, probably because she remembers seeing him in his Werehog form, and she's all about those wolfmen. I wonder if she realized Sonic lost that ability when Dark Gaia purged him of the dark energies. Does this mean Night of the Werehog happened in the IDW world? Or is this just a mere cameo thrown in by Ian Flynn and or artist Aaron Hammerstrom? I'll let you decide. That's pretty much all I can say about this lighthearted Sonic and Blaze tale. Well, except for the possibility of Blaze having a crush on Sonic. But that's a whole other thing that I don't have time to look into. Next time, we'll see how things go at Restoration HQ with regards to Silver's investigation. See you in issue 64. Seriously, does anyone order a sundae with peppers instead of a cherry on top?